afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama. You can also find us on Abundant Television, which is syndicated. We're worldwide. You didn't know this. We're going to be on worldwide syndication. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And also, you can check us out on the podcast right there at netnewsnetwork.com and all the social media sites. You can find us there as well. Thank you so much for watching. I am so pleased. I can hardly wait to talk with Barrett. And so I love quilting. I love crafting. I guess you noticed when you were walking through before you got to the studio, there's crafty stuff in every single room of the house. And so we have different segments with crafting.
Oh, good.
And I love that. Maybe I can go and watch you make a quilt one of these days.
Nice.
I would love that. So, Ann, tell me what's coming up.
We're having a one-woman quilt show at the Senior Citizens Building in Geraldine.
I know exactly where that is.
152 Old Mill Road. And it's from 10 to 2 on Saturday, this Saturday, April 22nd. And at 2, then I'm going to do a bed turning.
Oh, what's that?
It's where we have a bed or table set up with quilts on it. And people hold them up, and I talk about them. So
good. I have most of my grandmother and both my grandmothers and my great-grandmother's quilts. I treasure them. I'll have to tell you. And my Uncle Ernest Bearden, I don't know if you ever knew him, lived on Highway 75. He built this real beautiful, it's a quilt press. And by hand, he also made the kitchen cabinets that you see through. He was a craftsman as well. And so all those quilts are in there. So they are treasured with our family. So what did you bring the quilt with you?
I did.
Let's look at it. And this is one you made.
Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness. It took a long time to do this.
This is a Dear Jane.
Dear Jane.
Dear Jane.
Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? Now, how long did it take you to make this quilt?
I don't know. Something like a year.
This is a treasure. So what are you going to be doing with this quilt?
It belongs to a niece. I gave it to her. It was made in 16.
Oh my goodness, you even embroidered when you made it. So this is...
Sign them all.
Isn't it beautiful? This is just absolutely... This is an art form, and I'm glad people are finally figuring that out.
Yes.
It's art. So, looks like a bunch of tiny little pieces of material. What can you tell me about the material?
It's just plain 100% cotton, but there are 225 different blocks in this quilt. Every one is different. And there's 5,620 something pieces in this quilt.
So that takes a lot of patience to do that.
It does, but it's fun.
That's it. When you really like crafting, and there's nothing like crafting. And when people give presents, sometimes they'll go to a department store and find something for them. But there's just something about something that you have made with your own hands.
Well, this niece asked for a quilt. She wanted one she could sleep under, so she's been sleeping under this.
Oh, it's so nice. And she's taking really good. How do you care for quilts? You got to be careful. Don't throw it in the washing machine, right?
No. Although I do wash mine, but very lightly. But yeah, you don't handle them after handling food and all of that. The oils from food.
Because I have some very old quilts my great-grandmother's made. And so, and I'm really picky about, I won't even hardly touch them without wearing a pair of gloves. So I don't want anything happening to them because, but it's really important to use quality materials for the longevity of making a quilt.
And keep them out of light. Sunlight is bad. It fades them and makes the material deteriorate.
So probably need to stop putting them out in the sun then.
It doesn't hurt if you'll turn them over, but not long, or even cover them up, put them out there to air, and cover them with a sheet. That's good.
Oh, so that would be a good thing too. And that keeps them fresh. This one smells really good. It's really fresh, and it feels comfortable too.
Yes, it has 80-20 cotton batting It's 80 cotton, 20% polyester. Makes it easier to quilt.
I would say so. So you're going to be showing this at the event this coming Saturday. You got to check this out. This is just really beautiful. And I'm pretty sure this is not showing the magnificence of it. If you could see it in person, you'd know what I'm talking about. I noticed that kind of a turnaround. Younger girls are beginning to want to quilt.
Yes.
I'm really proud.
We're excited about that.
So now tell me about the Senior Citizen Center.
It's where the seniors go and meet every day. I don't go. I'm not old enough yet.
Yeah. Well, I was going to hang out.
No, I've just never got into that. I have too much to do.
Making quilts all the time, right?
But they meet over there and they play games and exercise. I don't know what all they do. And they have lunch. It's just a place
Good way to get it. I know our Mayor Abels is he's always talking about the senior citizen. Every time he's here on the show, he always has to say something about the center. Yeah. And so he's a good mayor, so we're proud to have him on the show. But this is just really delightful. It's absolutely breathtaking. Now the batting, and that's a crucial part of it as well,
It is.
right?
Yes.
So I'm seeing all these. Now you hand stitched all of this. Oh, wow. It took a long time to do this. And I'm pretty sure your niece really, and I'm noticing all the points. I mean, my grandmother used to always talk about the points.
Yes. You don't want to cut them off or leave them floating. You want them just right.
Well, they are. I mean, the points are right there. Do you make quilts and sell them?
No.
I wouldn't either.
If I love you enough, I'll give you one, but I don't sell them. For one thing, nobody will pay what it's worth.
Never. I'll have to tell you something that makes me really sad, and that's Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop is one of my sponsors, and every time I go, I see where somebody has put a quilt in the thrift shop, and I'm thinking about how long it took someone to make that quilt, and it winds up in the thrift shop. I just can't believe it.
Or go to trade day and you see them on the back of a pickup with a dog sitting on it or something, you know, and I'm kind of like, your grandmother would turn over in her grave if she
most certainly would. But this is efficient. Now, this used to be really crucial. Back a long time, I've heard my grandmother talk about it. She said, we didn't have all the heat and all this kind of stuff that we have now. And she said, we had to have quilts. And they didn't throw anything away.
No.
And she said they would use shirts, my granddad's old shirts and dresses and things like that to make quilts with.
I have a piece of an old quilt that they had put garments on the inside as their batting. It's very interesting.
I bet it is.
And I was trying to make a teddy bear out of it and trying to cut it, and I couldn't cut. And I got to finding out why. And there was a jacket front in there, and it had bound buttonholes.
Oh, my goodness.
And it had been a quilt before. It had worn out the top, and they had put another top and then a second top on there. So it had a piece of an old quilt in there. It's a fascinating piece of, it's only about so big, but it's wonderful.
It's all part of history.
It is.
And I'll have to tell you that we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and big city, okay? They had quilt shows all the time, and people would just come in from all over North Carolina and come to this quilt show. And it's the history of it. And you know why somebody made a quilt. But I'm going to tell you the most fascinating quilts are the ones my mother and my grandmothers used to make in the 1970s with polyester double knit. I hope that never comes back. But I'm going to tell you, it made a comfortable quilt. It would keep you warm.
It would. They're going to dig up a landfill in
you can't burn the stuff up.
No, and it's going to be perfect, and they're going to go, what is this? Because the color's perfect and the stuff.
You remember the leisure suits?
Oh, yes.
So mother went on a binge one time just buying old leisure suits and making quilts out of them. And they're pretty easy to sew on the sewing machine. If you want to do them, you can't tear them up.
No. And you can stretch them and make them fit. Oh, those blocks were wonderful.
There's a quilt I know how to make. I can quilt. But there's one that quilts itself. Have you ever done this one?
Yeah.
Where you get a circle, you get a square and put it on the inside, and then you turn the flaps under and do little zigzags on it. And it looks like you have put just hundreds of little pieces together. You make the squares as big as small as you.
Yeah.
The really are prettier when you use the smaller circles and the smaller squares, and then you just zigzag them with your sewing machine and put those together. But it's not near the love that this one has. I promise you that right now. So this is so if you're looking for something to keep warm, quilts the way to do it. A lot of folks decorate their bedrooms and what have you with quilts.
My house is totally decorated with quilts, and since I'm getting ready for the show, you can walk through and it's like, where am I? Because everything's took down and folded and ready to go to the show. It's strange looking.
Oh, I bet it's awesome looking. Can you believe we're already halfway through the show?
No.
Absolutely. We're going to go into a commercial break, and we are going to be right back in just a few minutes, so you hang tight, okay? We'll be right back. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama, you know. You can also find us worldwide on Abundant Television. That's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find us here at the radio station, icradio.media, and check out the podcast. You can see it right there, netnewsnetwork.net. Bunch of nets in there, right? So it fits nets. Absolutely it does. So I'm really excited. Now we have a mutual, actually it's your sister and my friend Carolyn. And so Carolyn sent me a message and told me about you. And I said, yes, with a bunch of exclamation marks. Yes, let's do it. So, hey, Carolyn, it's so good to see you too. And thank you for sending your beautiful sister to us. So we're talking about this nice event that's coming up. And it's going to be at the Senior Citizen Center in Geraldine, Alabama. It's just on down from the park.
Right.
Real easy to find. And
Yes.
just, there's the road where the high school is. I'll tell you really quick how to get there. So you can take a road just off of that, adjacent or across the street. And it's real easy to get to the Senior Citizen place. Real easy. And so it's a quilt. Now, how many quilts are you going to bring out there?
Somewhere between 60 and 70 full-size quilts.
Oh my goodness, who's going to help you do all this? Carolyn?
Relatives.
Carolyn, get ready. Because a good quilt is pretty heavy.
Yes, they are.
Because of all the beautiful features and everything. Now talk to me about the border here. This alone would take a long time to do.
It was very tricky. Each one, it was like 6 3/16 or something long, and you have to mark it and you pin it on and you sew it on, and then you go to the next one. It was an all-day affair to get it sewn on.
I would imagine, because you've got all those scallops here as well.
And then you go back and flip it over and sew it down by hand. It's a very time-consuming thing. But I love
but
it.
an art.
Yes.
But an
yes.
art form. Now, what's the significance of the material you're using? Did this come from, where did it come from?
I just bought it because I wanted to do a red and white.
Mm-hmm.
No big nothing.
You ever do Alabama Auburn quilts?
Nope.
I wouldn't either, because then you'd have to sell them. And then, so, but I do have one. And I'm an Auburn fan. My husband's an Alabama fan. So Phil's aunt made me an Auburn quilt and Phil an Alabama quilt. Same deal. I asked her, do you want to sell these? I can help you sell them. She said, no. These are gifts. You're getting these for, no, I don't make them for the public. But I mean, there's no way that, I would have to have a couple $1,000 as long as it would take me or more.
Oh, yes. More.
when you consider the time and effort you put into these, if somebody gives you a quilt, you really need to treasure it. I just love it. I do. Now, I have some quilts and I should have brought some out here for the show. And some of these are from old dresses my great-grandmother used to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's the treasure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can look back and see and remember, oh, I remember her wearing that dress, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, like kids' clothes they used to wear and that kind of thing. I have one of my friends actually made a book, and I don't think I have it in here with me, but it's something kind of like this. But what she did, at the thrift store, she found some old quilts, and so it's a diary book. And this one right here is my gardening one. I love to garden, and this is full of things what not to do in gardening. I can write some big books on that. I can make volumes of things not to do in life. So she makes these little things for me all the time, but she has one, and I think it's probably in the piano room. And in the other one, she just found some quilts at the quilt shop, and just it looks like a quilt piece on it, and those turned out really well too. But never cut these up. No, only one you found in a thrift shop. Absolutely, I may guard these quilts with
And
them.
not even if you found it and it's still a good quilt, don't cut it.
No,
Only if it has holes.
Yeah,
and
well,
all
she
that.
said this one did.
Oh,
She said
okay.
that she didn't feel bad about cutting this one up, but she'll find them and she'll keep them, So, and she said, but that one had holes all in it. And I thought, well, I'm going to make Nana a book out of that one. But the time put into this and the effort, and again, it's like a revival of some sort with younger people wanting to make quilts
Yes.
now. So, to any of your kids, that's probably a call telling me that I owe money or something. I didn't pay for my college. If I'm 64 and I haven't paid for my college yet, I'm never going to pay for it. I get those all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I only have one child, and she is getting into quilting. She's done some beautiful things. So
Mhm.
it's entirely different to mine, but that's okay.
Well, and there are different types. I know the wedding ring. I've got the wedding ring.
Mhm.
The Dutch girl.
Mhm.
I've got those. My grandmother, both my grandmothers, I think, made one of those. But just the different. Do you just come up with patterns?
Yeah. Yeah, I design a lot of mine.
Oh, that makes it even more unique.
It does, yeah.
Now, did you design this one?
No, this is a reproduction of one that was made in 1863, I think it was. And it's in a museum up in Vermont.
And you made it.
Yeah.
So now my mother has always been a seamstress, and she would go to town and just look at a dress and make it, come home and make it. So, and most of our things were made. So, but sewing machines, in fact, there's an old sewing machine right there. It used to be my grandmother's sewing machine. And so sewing has always been a huge part of our lives as well. Do you design clothes? Do you make
I
clothes?
used to. I sewed for the public. That was what I did for a living.
Uh-huh.
So, yes.
So what's the best sewing machine out there?
I sew on a Pfaff, a commercial Pfaff.
Uh-huh. You would have to.
Something you don't know about me, and this could be a whole nother segment.
Oh,
thing.
we're gonna have a 2-hour show here.
I own 150 or more antique sewing machines.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness. Okay, you need to get in contact in Fort Payne, and we're gonna have a show about this coming weekend. And it's an old salt mill, and somebody has bought it,
mhm.
and so they're finding a way to give to the needy when it's cold outside. They're using the socks, and they're
Oh.
just giving those away. So they took me on tour. I don't know how many thousand square feet this thing is. There are some old sewing machines back there. You might be interested in them. So what's the oldest sewing machine you have?
1871.
Oh, wow. So what's it like? Is it a pedal?
It looks pretty much like just an old pedal sewing machine,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the oldest.
Mm-hmm. And industrial. Now, you got to keep sewing machines. I know this for sure. You've got to maintain those, keep
Right.
dust out of
Yeah.
them and that kind of thing. Are the older ones easier to work with and clean than the newer
Oh,
ones?
yes.
That's what I've heard.
Many times.
Mm-hmm. And there's something about an old sewing machine because I work with leather a lot. I actually make handbags and that kind of thing. I've got a bunch of leather down there on that shelf. As a matter of fact, this is my little room right here. And Phil always laughs and he says, if I can't find Donna, she's either in the studio or she's outside in the greenhouse. Most of the time it's a greenhouse, so I love being out there. But I like to work with leather, and the best machines I found, I do a lot with my hands with big needles and that kind of thing. But the best I have found is actually the old ones. I don't even crank them up. I just do it just by hand, and I don't break as many needles that way. I just they're better. So what would be good general maintenance for a sewing machine now for somebody who's just getting into sewing?
I don't own a modern day sewing machine.
I don't blame you.
The one I sew on is 40 years old or more. So,
They don't make them like that
No,
anymore, do
no.
they?
but the main thing is maintenance.
Mhm.
But I don't think some of them today you even oil.
I think they're almost throwaway.
Yeah.
They're made the last couple of years and then you just throw them away. I've got a good brother when it's an embroidery machine and I like it pretty good. But they just don't last like
No.
those old tried and
No.
true ones do.
Those old ones, all you need to do is oil them and get the lint and dust out and keep going.
Now, what kind of oil do you use?
Well,
And you have to be really selective with the kind of oil you use on it.
yes.
Yeah, and just cleaning them and dusting them is basically it.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll probably use that one a little more often now.
We have a leather machine.
Oh, do you?
Yes. And that's what it's made for, was to sew leather.
Have you ever sewed with leather? Made
No.
things with leather?
Now I did too. I made Carolyn's son a leather jacket. And I've done some stuff, but not to
Well, I think he is a crafter too
oh
with
yes.
knives. He makes some of the most. He's been on the show a couple
Oh,
of
good.
times,
Good.
and so is he still living away or is he moved
He's
back?
back.
He's back. I didn't
Mhm.
think he'd stay gone long. And it's funny. Now, Carolyn and my mother are good friends.
Oh.
And so I said, I know your mother. And he said, who's my mother? And I said, Carolyn. And he said, Carolyn's my mother? And I said, yes, Carolyn is your mother. So he's a lot of fun, but he's crafty too. Those
Very,
knives are
yes.
magnificent. With the etching and everything he
Mhm.
does on those. Well, I'm glad to have him back. You tell him, okay? He needs to get in contact with me so I can get him back on the show again.
I will.
So I'm all about crafting. Okay, let's talk. We've only got about 2 minutes left
Okay.
in this segment. So I told you it'd fly. And it does. But you're a very interesting guest.
Well,
And I
thank you.
love to talk with fellow crafters. Why do you craft? What's the big deal about crafting?
It's just part of me. There's not an answer for that to me.
I think it's good therapy for people.
It is.
Mhm.
It's cheaper than
Therapy going to a psychiatrist. It is, but if you like to work with your hands, I mean, the world is for you. I
Yes.
mean, and you can open up so many. I know of quilts. I love to watch Antiques Roadshow. It comes on Create
Mhm.
Television, and sometimes they'll have a quilt on there that just is like worth
Thousands and
thousands, thousands of dollars. And I want to ask you this one question before we go. Less than 2 minutes left in this segment. So, how far back do quilts go?
oh, there's some from Roman days, just small pieces that are
Mhm.
that they have found. But they figured out there used to be they made armor. It made arrows or whatever harder to penetrate. So they have found that sort of thing.
See what I'm going to tell you. I think people were really smarter back in those days than we are now, because they knew how to make things work. They really did. So I appreciate you being on the show with
Thank
me
you for
today. It's been so
inviting me.
much fun. We're going to do this more often. How
Okay.
about that?
All right.
Bella Crafter now. I'll be hanging with her a lot. And thank you so much for being on. It's going to be at the Geraldine Senior
Senior
Citizen. Okay, right.
From
So
10 to 2.
from 10 to 2. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Ann, for being on the show with me. And thank you, Carolyn, for sending your sister. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Donna. I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182, on Charter Communications and Abundance Television. You didn't know you're going to be worldwide. And it's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. If you have any questions for Ann, you can send an email to me, and I'll be glad to get those on to you. My email address is donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Again, thank you so much for watching. You're the apple of my eye. I know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching.